So I wanted to make an updated version of this video, which is going to be going over what are the 5 best close range options that we have inside Warzone 2. So we're starting off with the LACHMANN sub, also known as the MP5, and when it comes to attachments, we will show the tuning just at the end. We won't spend too much time going over that because we know these kind of videos take a long time to kind of get through. Now, the first attachment here we're using is the stockless mod for the better aim down sight and just overall movement speed, but it also gives you hip fire accuracy or hip recoil control, if you want to call it that instead. And that is super important in this game, especially when you try to win 1v1 gunfights at close range. Hip firing is super important now. Then we've got the 50 round drum mag, which is the largest mags available, so we do need to have it on there, obviously. Then we do also have the Merc underbarrel grip, which is my personal favorite grip for SMGs across the board in this game. It gives you the hip fire recoil control, and it also gives you recoil steadiness in general when you're aiming down sight, and on top of that it gives you aim walking steadiness as well. So a lot of really good benefits here. Now we are using the Falcon barrel, which is going to give you the movement speed and aim down sight speed. Don't confuse it with the Pulsar. That one kind of cons your recoil a bit too much in my opinion, so this is the best one here. And then we are using the ULO laser for the hip fire accuracy as well. What you'll see on screen just now is all the weapon tuning when it comes to the attachments that are available to be tuned with the MP5 or LACHMANN sub. Moving on to the FENNEC now, this gun actually has really solid TTKs, especially inside Warzone. Even if you have free armor plates, this gun can rip through it really quickly. The only thing you need to kind of keep an eye on is the mag capacity, because the rate of fire of this gun is super fast. But people have different builds for this gun, but personally, if you're using an SMG at point blank, I don't think you need a suppressor unless you really have a free attachment slot. But with this build, I am using the FTAC stock cap, which is basically the no stock, similar to what we did on the MP5, because we want the max movement speed possible, so you can try and engage and then also disengage from gunfights if you need to. We are using the Fenix stippled grip as well, which is going to give you recoil control. No other attachment really here is going to give us that recoil bonus, so we are using the rear grip. Now, I did make a video all about rear grips and the fact that they don't really help too much when it comes to any of these stats at all, but as the only kind of sensible attachment here, this is the one I would recommend removing if you do want to attach a suppressor, for example, so that is the one you can get rid of. But personally, I don't think I need a suppressor on this. 45 round mags, and then the Merc 4 grip, once again, very similarly for the MP5, so we get that hip fire accuracy and overall recoil benefits. Now, again, on screen just now, what you will see is the attachment tuning when it comes to the FENNEC. So if you do want to tune the attachments, the Merc 4 grip and FENNEC stipple grip, this is what you need to be using. Next up, we've got the Vasniv, and this is more of like a submachine gun build for this gun, because you can definitely use this as sniper support as well, because it works well for both. But this build is definitely built more towards movement speed, of course, so we're using the McAreve stock, which I definitely think is the best when it comes to this kind of weapon family. So McAreve stock there gives you the better aim down sight speed and sprint speed, which obviously helps. Then we've got the Demo X2 grip, and again, it's going to help with recoil control. It doesn't really help a whole lot, but it's an attachment I would rather use here. But you can choose a different attachment. If you want a suppressor, again, this is the attachment that I would recommend removing. Then we are using the 45 round mag, which is the largest mags available. Then we are using the Merc 4 grip, which is going to give us the same benefits as before. And then lastly, we are using that FTAC grime line laser, which is going to give you the hip fire accuracy. You can also use the one that gives you better aim down sight speed, which is the OLE, but personally I like that hip fire accuracy, especially on my close range SMGs. And again, on screen just now, what you will see is the attachment tuning for all three of the attachments for the Vasniv 9K. Next up, we've got the X12 Akimbo pistols, which is a really solid choice if you want to run a secondary. Not only that, it probably beats most of the actual general kind of submachine guns or shotguns in the game when it comes to TTKs, but obviously you cannot aim down sight. Now, you can replace this with the P890s, but I think this is a slightly better option. It's a little bit easier to use because you get larger mag capacities overall, and on top of that, it fires a little bit quicker as well, so I think this is the better choice, even though the TTK is a smidge slower. We are using the Akimbo attachment, of course, is kind of the main reason why we're using this. We are using the 1 milliwatt pistol laser, which is going to give you that hip fire accuracy or hip fire recoil control. 24 round mags, you don't necessarily need these, to be honest. You start off with base 17 in each weapon. That's quite a lot of bullets to fire through, especially when most of the gunfights players will have only 2 armor plates. So I mean, you could play around with that one, maybe put on a muzzle or an ammunition type if you prefer it. We are using the lighting fire trigger, and this is basically going to give us faster fire rate, which is super important. And then lastly, we're using the steel fire suppressor, which is going to give you the best bullet velocity and damage range. What you'll see now is the attachment tuning for both of the attachments, the steel fire suppressor and the lightning fire trigger, when it comes to the X12 akimbo pistols. Last but not least, we have the VEL-46, which is actually my favorite SMG to use in this game. Is a smidge better than the MP5 in my opinion, and the reason why is because it's a super accurate hipfire build, and if you're trying to shave off as much TTK off of your opponents as possible, then basically not ADSing your weapon is one of the best ways to do that. And especially in this game where movement does not exist, this is going to help you land your shots first. Is going to be a game changer. So you do want to use the Schlager Soldier grip. It's going to give you sprint to fire speed and aim down sight speed. Now rear grips do not help. We've already done testing on this nearly as much as the other attachments. If it does help, it only helps a little bit, but for the most part we don't really want to change the overall base of this weapon because it does control really well. So you don't really want to mess around with the VEL too much. 50 round mags because we do need a larger mag capacity. We don't need 60, that is absolutely overkill. Merc foregrip for the same reason as before. It's a really solid choice when it comes to close range weapons. It's going to give you that hip fire accuracy and just overall recoil control. The covert IV suppressor is the one we are using here. Now personally, I wouldn't really use a suppressor at all on this weapon. Some of the barrels are actually good choices, to be perfectly honest. You can go for one of these if you want a bit more movement speed, but just make sure you're not conning your recoil too much. But I do think overall the best attachment, if you do want to use something, then the covert IV suppressor will be the better choice here, and you get stay suppressed as well. Then we are using the .G3P laser, which is a weird name, but overall this is the better laser for hip fire accuracy. And then once again, you will be seeing the attachment tuning for the covert suppressor, the Merc foregrip and the Schlager grip on screen just now. So there we have it. Those are the 5 best close range weapons inside Warzone 2. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, and thank you very much for watching.